right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Any changes, additions, or removals to the agenda? Okay. Then our first order of business is to approve the meeting minutes from November 18th and November 25th.
I'll make a motion we approve November 18th.
Okay. I'll second that.
I'll make a motion we approve the 25th.
All in favor of the 18th?
Aye. Aye.
Wait, can I have the top sheet of that, isn't it? Let's see. Oh no, that's right. Okay.
That's right. Signature page. So I got a motion made on the 25th.
All right. I'll second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
And then it brings us to budget discussion and approval possibly. And I sent out copies with some revisions today. And Angela, you noted a couple of things that I need to add before we...
Selectboard fee.
All right, updating that. All right, okay. Okay. And we have the Okima Valley Tech Rescue and the appropriations for FY26. And you'd sign a petition for that?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. So, based on the last meeting and what we thought we were going to expend, our taxes are down about 75,000, and then we just have to add in from last year, we just have to add the appropriation. So we'll be down close to $70,000 in current taxes for going from FY25 to FY26.
Down meaning shortfall?
Reducing taxes.
Or we're reducing
Yeah,
taxes?
trying to budget for less.
So our expenses decreased.
Yes.
I took a pay cut.
You're working for free now? Thanks. Thank you from the town.
You're probably still not going to get your tax bill and jump for joy, but
Where, I'm trying to find it on here. Where is that? It should be up here in the top, no? On the, in fees and permits, the short-term rental thing? Or am I missing it? Is it?
so, yeah, there is. I did look at them.
160306.
1603,
06, you got it.
160, sure, oh yeah, no, yes?
From rental.
Yeah.
Applications.
Okay, that's other, it's in the other,
Yeah.
other revenue line, category.
And if you see that column, it's comparable to the actual FY24. And we haven't, so we have not yet
24 is third
Discussed.
one over.
STR enough, but there would be both ads and revenue and expense.
Well, that 24.5, that's the current number, that's the amount we've raised on it in 2024.
Correct.
That's fine.
The other one was the cemetery commission.
It's really.
That sheriff line item, that's the new adjusted contract, right? It went up by that 68, that's the new number? Did we adjust that already?
I believe so. Let's see.
What
We had
number is
gotten
that?
that letter from him, he was raising his fee. Is that the
I did that from memory.
post raise? I think it's right, it's, that number seems as,
Constable.
it went up $75 an hour, from 60 to $75 an hour.
Where is that, Keith? What number is that? No, not that.
It's,
in the budget.
It's here, 1/7/25/73.
Okay.
Fourth page, I think it's fourth page, third page, fourth page.
Okay.
And is the new, for the streamlining of the internet security service, is that in here now?
Yep. Yep, and it was under technology expenses.
Can I see that sheriff's letter?
We adjusted the fire department and the cemetery as per the request last time.
Yep, I think I was $1,000 off on the cemetery, and I can fix that.
It's 4.
It was,
He asked for
before,
5, right, or something?
they're asking, they used to get 7,000 for maintenance, and they used to get 7,000 for stone repair. And I think a lot of that money is going to maintenance. And so they asked this year for 15,000 in maintenance and about $4,500 in repairs. And most of that was like wall repair and stuff like that. So, and that would be like a one-time expenditure for the repairs, unless they had repairs again next year that they would bring forward. Angela?
And then Bill Lambert came in.
Yep.
And he wanted to clarify that he was hoping to get 5 and 5, so make it 20 for cemetery maintenance. And he wasn't sure if he worded it correctly, but
So we have 20,000 in there.
that's just for maintenance alone. with the
20,000 for maintenance alone from 7th, wow.
We've got, what is that, general, oh, this, okay, never mind, this is the expenses I'm looking at. What, the appropriations in a different section, right?
So I thought it was a total of cemetery.
I know, that's what he said, because
Okay.
I think that's kind of how it seems when I spoke, but I confirmed it with him twice.
Okay.
What section is that? The cemetery one?
I'm sorry, that's,
I can find it if you don't, I thought you had it right there, I'll look, I'm scanning through it right now. Cemetery deposit? Oh.
1725.75.
Which is, look down around 1-7-25-75.
I think it's the 4th. 5th page. Keep going up.
Cemetery stone repair?
Yeah, and maintenance.
Yeah, so that was 20 grand is what I understood
Yes. that's what
in
she
total.
said. Yeah.
So this has to be another 6 here then?
He asked for, yes, 5. Yeah. 20 total for the maintenance.
20 total.
For maintenance.
So now it's
So instead of 14, 20.
20.
Yeah.
Fire department. Yeah, 50 for the fire department.
Keith,
It's a pretty big jump.
on the sheriff's, if I did this math right, based on what's the proposed budget and based on their new hourly rates, we should get coverage about 80 hours a month, which is roughly 20 hours a week.
For that 68 grand?
Yeah, well, it's up to
Or, I mean,
70 yeah,
6,000.
72.
6,800, right? What are we budgeting? 68,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was 72.
I put in 68.5, that's what it was,
Okay,
but
huh. Thought I just,
Oh, yeah. Why am I'm reading it from 24. Never mind. That's 24, 2020.
yeah,
no.
Yeah, 2026
that's
is 72.
right. Yeah, that's where I picked it up. Okay, so,
Yeah, so 72 skews with your math.
yeah, that was what I was working on. So 68, it's gonna be close to that. Probably, somewhere between 15, 20 hours a week. Yeah. I think that's plenty.
Yeah, you can see I mean, we went from here. This is when we went to that 45, and then it came. Then they went to 60,
Yeah,
64. So they on the pay. Yeah, so you can see the progression.
Well, I mean, I think we're probably getting to the top of what we want to spend, right? I mean, I think, he's got to get what he's got to get by the hour, but I think next year, like, if there's an increase, we're just going to have to plan on less hours,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
To keep it within that amount of money.
Yeah.
yeah. I like the bottom line. Everybody should be happy with that. I think that's good work, Jay.
Well, we lost about well, it's not a loss, but we spent $100,000 more last year than we took in, but my assumption is it's largely due to flood,
Yeah,
right? Just all those things we couldn't
yeah,
control, whether it was fuel, extra overtime wages, social security, all the stuff that goes along with it.
so was there one other adjustment?
I think just set up the
nice-
cemetery
Yeah,
and the appropriation.
Select board.
Yep.
okay. So do you need a motion for moving this forward to the voters?
Yes, I think that's
All right,
appropriate.
so we're talking about this expenditure.
Oh, sorry. Do
Go
we
ahead.
have any amount for the short-term rental expense? Because I don't.
We have for the administrator and also the assistant, but we haven't changed the budget numbers. If we change software, there'll be an increase in revenue and also an increase in expense, so
Okay.
we just haven't gotten there yet, so, but it's not gonna dramatically impact the budget, I'd say.
And for our phase 2, for the renovation,
All grant money, right, Rick?
Yeah.
They're gonna do-
All grant money.
are we gonna use our remaining 200,000 that we have for the?
Maybe. We don't know yet.
We don't know yet.
No.
And for the cemetery, I'm sorry, For the cemetery, we are not using the 17257501 anymore. You could just move the budget numbers towards.
Well, why is that? Can you help us?
Cynthia, because the way, when we were using the number 1, it's generally like on the general fund,
Okay,
which is the cemetery has their own bank account, so we had to create like a separate account for them, so that we don't have to transfer like from the general fund to the cemetery bank account.
got
So
it.
we had to create a separate chart of account for that one. Because
Okay,
every time we do, if we post it on like, starts with number 1,
okay,
and it deducts on our general fund,
got it.
it should deduct directly from the.
So could you tell me what your new number is? I have,
It should be there, so it should be 67256100. You go on to page 3rd to the last.
so that's basically just a transfer out.
Yeah. So that I don't have to go like
Okay,
onto the general account and then doing a journal entry every time we try to post it.
I'll let you make the final tweak on the,
Okay.
that's all right.
So I would make a motion that we pass on this budget to the voters with an expenditure of $1,201,383.55.
The only question I had was regarding the line of credit that we had taken on. Where is that accounted for in here specifically?
So the line of credit is down below.
I thought I saw it.
And so it's kind of funky because it's accrual accounting, right? So we've spent this money, we've borrowed from other funds, and we've also borrowed from the bank. As we get reimbursed by FEMA, we should backfill that.
But has that interest rate adjusted at all since we took it on?
So let's see, we've borrowed from 3 places. Bond bank for the renovation, right, which is fixed at 4.5%.
Yeah.
Is that right? We got a low interest loan of $325,000 to $375,000 for flood through the bond bank as well. And then we have our line of credit with the bank.
That's the one.
That's the one.
That's the last one we picked up
Yep.
to help cover every day. 'Cause
Yep, because we spent our,
The
we
money
don't
on
have
the
cash
flood.
flow, right? We have basically money, but we don't have the cash flow.
That was a relatively low interest rate. I don't remember what it was, but I don't know. It's been a while now.
It was low.
Has it adjusted?
No, that was fixed.
That was fixed
The one from the bond bank
for
was
5
fixed.
years?
I can't remember the exact term on that one, but
It's co-determinant on FEMA money.
Yeah, to get reimbursed.
We're gonna get reimbursed for the interest because we borrowed it for the FEMA money. So I have to apply for that and we're gonna get that money back, the interest that we're paying to the bank.
So it eventually will be a wash then, presumably, assuming we get most of the FEMA money that we're due, yeah?
Yeah.
Jerry's on it.
That in itself would reduce the budget for the next fiscal year though, right?
Oh, getting FEMA reimbursements?
Yeah, well, if it eliminates that
Interest.
interest
Yes.
payment, yeah, it's definitely gonna
Yep.
adjust us down. So this budget's kind of an outlier in a way, isn't it?
A little bit. I mean, we're still borrowing money. But as we do get reimbursed, we'll borrow less. And Cherry and I talked about a plan to keep doing a cash flow analysis so we see where we are, so we know how much we're borrowing, so we can pay down the line of credit or we can request more as needed. You don't do it every week, but you do it sort of broadly as you anticipate revenue and expense.
So, we have a motion. What's your pleasure?
The motion, you made a motion to accept it?
I did.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
There you have it. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, Angela, for pointing those things out, and thank you, Cherry. Citizen comments, issues anybody wants to raise? Okay. Karen, you're here on behalf of the memory tree.
So I'm Karen Bruin, and I've recently taken over the helm of the Memory Tree Community Fund that we have. And I wanted to just reacquaint everybody with the purpose of the fund. So it started in 1991, after the Elliot Sailor passed away, as a way to memorialize and honor loved ones. The purpose of the organization is to provide financial assistance to Plymouth residents. The funds that we collect have helped to pay medical bills and housing costs, unexpected car repairs, property taxes, among other things. Those are the kinds of things that we've helped people pay. We get about 5 to 10 requests per year for varying amounts. We have received more requests and received more donations after Irene, when the town was devastated with flood damage, as well as during 2023, when we had that flooding here in Plymouth. We also get scholarships to graduating seniors to help further their education, be it college or vocational school. We also have some discretionary funds that we can provide to people who have experienced a tragedy, like a death in the family or a fire. So we have some discretionary funds where we can give immediate cash or check to people. We do have an application that we request people who are looking for money fill out. And as you can imagine, a lot of people have trouble asking for help. So we kind of rely on people like you to let us know on the board that there are people in need, and maybe we can reach out to them and convince them to fill out an application. Everything is confidential. There's 5 of us on the board. There's myself, there's Ann Brown, Robert Fishman, Jennifer Flaster, and Linda Ulster. So if you know of somebody who needs help financially and think that we could help them out, we have a decent amount of money available. We'd like to hear either from you or you to pass an application along to these people and get it to us. And then finally, if you'd like to make a donation to the fund, in my opinion, your donation has the most impact when you keep it local. And there's nothing more local than this fund, let me tell you. We collect money from locals and we give it to locals who really need it. So our address is P.O. Box 87 if you want to send a donation. So, any questions or comments? In the past, we've had a tree that we've lit to honor people that have donated in memory of somebody. This year, we're going to participate in the Emergency Services holiday celebration here. So we'll have some ornaments that honor people that we've received donations for in memory of another. So.
And how much do you hope to receive in donations every year?
So it varies from year to year. This year, we sometimes we'll do a campaign to the entire grand list and receive a more significant amount of money. Then this year, we're doing a pretty informal campaign through social media and advertising. So no direct mail, but so it varies from year to year. And we give out I don't know, $5,000 to $10,000 in a year. It varies. During the floods, of course, we gave out grants in the tens of thousands to individuals during the flooding because we received additional funding not only from locals, community members, but also from the Vermont Community Fund. So we were able to help people there. But if, people, for example, the recent fire, if people want to help those fire victims, if you want to send us a donation, we'll make sure it gets to them. We expect to receive applications from those 2 residents who experienced the loss of their homes.
Sorry about that.
Can I ask a couple questions? Sure. Do you guys have a website?
Yeah.
Is that something we would consider at all?
Probably not. None of us have the skills to do that.
Okay. No, I only, it was a thing last year with the flood and all the towns that were affected. There was little pop-up, crop-up, donation sites and stuff, but the bulk of the money came through the chamber, Carroll Light Hall and Ludlow.
Right.
And it was so hard to determine if people wanted money to go to second home people or people in Plymouth and Mount Holly. So it got divided to the best of everybody's ability, what they thought. I just didn't know if it's something this organization, your organization would consider, and if something happened again, that people could go directly to Plymouth and say, I want Plymouth residents to get this.
Yeah, we can talk about it. None of us have those skills to be able to do that. We like to keep our costs down because we like to give the money to the people who need it. We did work with that organization in Ludlow, and they gave us some funds to help Plymouth residents.
But do you, as some organizations, do you withhold or not give as much to one person if you know they've received other grants or, cash money from anonymous donations or GoFundMe page? Are you less likely to give?
We asked that question if they've received money from other places. It's totally discretionary on the board's part. So we don't have any policies about that.
Have you had any inquiries, like for assistance with taxes at all? There's been a lot of talk about school taxes and property taxes and that kind of thing.
We have helped a couple people with taxes.
Yeah, good to know.
I guess, can that trigger another, do you require certain documentation for that or anything for somebody? Is there a certain threshold for somebody requesting that you'll donate without?
So we prefer to make checks right out to the organization that's causing the financial hardship. So if it's an automotive repair place, we'll make the check out to that place. If it's the town, we'll make checks out to the town. So we prefer, rather than giving people money, we like to give it to the source of the issue, of the problems.
So you don't require like income?
We don't require it, but that's typically what we do.
Okay.
Well, thank you all for volunteering to do that.
So thank you. And if you can help us out and let us know when people are in need, that helps us too. So. Okay.
That brings us back to STR software. Some people want to hear from Frank as well. I know he's on vacation. I don't know if he's eager to discuss it anymore. And I'm not sure if I explained at the last select board meeting that I had met with him and Natasha as well. And they are in agreement with what was proposed, but, and I'm not looking at it at the moment. Is there anything we want to do this evening, or do you want to hold?
Well, I'll throw my comment out there, Jay. At the last meeting, there were a couple of people who spoke against the software that Natasha was proposing. But my take is, I've always been an advocate of giving an employee the tools they need to do the job to be successful. And we don't know the ins and outs and the daily chores that are involved in that process unless you're sitting there doing the job. So I would tend to support it for those reasons. My 2 cents.
Okay. What was the question I was thinking about? The software, is there a contract length requirement?
Oh, it's annual.
Okay.
Annual license, it's going to be issue license.
Okay.
So, and from the moment we sign it, so that's pretty much starts. But turnaround to get that off the ground is actually a few weeks. It's
Right.
2 weeks.
The big question I guess I have is, you get it, we don't like it, we can cancel it after
Yes,
a year, okay?
yes. And because, because it's a module based, we can actually maybe in the future, retain only one module. All right, so let's say only maybe registration, so we wouldn't need anything else, so which will slash the cost drastically. So yes, there are a lot of benefits there. And it will help, definitely help both of us, me and Frank, and keep track of all the applications.
And Frank is in favor of the software, or he's not in
He's
favor?
in favor,
He
yes.
is in favor. I don't know. My impression was that he wasn't, but
No, he,
I'm not saying that he's not, based upon what you're telling me, but I thought that my inclination was to believe that he was not in favor of it, but I could, don't write that in stone.
I know Mike has a comment, but if I could just finish what I wanted to include in my comments. I don't think everybody saw the one sheet printout you had, Nastasha, that was in our booklet last week, and it explained that if we raise the bedroom rate to $200 per bedroom, and we have 100 bedrooms, we'll raise $60,000 versus $30,000 worth of cost, so it seems like a no-brainer to me. So part of that support that I would give would be increasing the ordinance, changing the ordinance to a fee of $200 per bedroom. I think that helps support the proposal. So, anyway.
yes, and it's modest increase, it's not nothing drastic, so it's not something, unbearable, let's put it that way. But it will help a lot, certainly, to get the operation in the right way, so to speak. Thank you.
The increase in fees meaning would offset the cost of the software? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
What's the cost?
$10,000.
10,000 per year?
Is it per
I
year?
think it's annual,
Yeah,
right?
it's annual, but in my understanding, so it will be less, so there's the annual renewal. So
But the renewal is less than 10 grand?
less than 10, yes, it's in the year first.
Richard?
Yeah, I don't think we were concerned about giving the tools to Natasha. At least I wasn't. I think, first of all, I didn't see that, Rick, that was a good point. I didn't see
Yeah,
that.
I didn't appreciate everybody.
I think there were two different opinions there. One was, did we have critical mass to warrant going out and purchasing, and I don't know the answer to that, going out and purchasing the software. And the other issue that I was more concerned with was, are we creating more of an expense than we have to cover? So I don't know what the income is versus the, the expense of running this. If $10,000 for the software, and then you gotta allocate all the other expenses that go towards it, the legal expenses that you're going to incur, the enforcement expenses, how much is it gonna cost the town to administer getting, $5,000, just to use a round number. If we're getting $5,000 in income from the whole program and we're spending 25, well, why are we doing this?
The current numbers, without raising the fees, based on that presentation, were basically 25 grand in expenses versus 29,000 in income. So all the amount of money that we put into it, we get about 4 grand in profit, or whatever you want to say, however you want to categorize that. If you increase the fees, that number goes up to 35, no, that's operational. The total income would be 60,000 with increased fees, with the same level of expenses, so 25,000 in expenses versus 60,000 in income with an increased fee. I'm just reading off here to clarify.
And it's actually, Richard, to answer you also legal expenses such. So the software helps to make that basically our claim, so to speak, right? Legal. So it gives us all documentation to tell those who are not in the program, so that they have to come and register. So they have to become basically legal in town of Plymouth. So as of now, there is no such thing. So, and which kind of will get into that, issue, getting more legal fees. So how do we going to prove so that all these people, but the application will be like that. It's simple enough to send all this paperwork to them and prove that they are supposed to be in this. So
Based upon discovering more violators.
Yes.
Not the 65.
yes,
Trying to get to this magical 100 number or whatever, 105, I think it is, right?
Yeah,
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
it's kind of, around the country, yes. So it make it fair for those who are in the program already.
There's 112 short-term rental houses available. And that's ones that people aren't full-time residents. It's 112, that's what's here in the town. The town has never been in the, instituting an ordinance to raise money. Do they charge $100 for a dog tag? Because that's all that's doing. The short-term rentals is providing for safety. Safety of the people that are occupying the houses, and safety for the townspeople that have to go up and pick up the trash and plow the driveways and whatnot. So the town should not be using short-term rentals or the dog collector's fee for profit. It's just simply an expense of the town.
It's a valid point. I agree with it. This point has been made on the floor before from various other people. What was the point, the intention of the ordinance? Was it to raise revenue or was it to implement a standard and safety procedures? I voted on it along the lines of safety, organization, making sure people weren't leaving their garbage out, causing havoc, starting fires, parking too many cars. It seems to have transitioned into this, okay, it's there, we put it in place, so now let's milk it for everything for it. Let's raise the fees. I don't know, it's totally arbitrary, but it's 200 now, it could be 300, it could be 400, it could be anything. We could tax anything we want. I mean, the general climate in Vermont is tax and spend, tax and spend. Yes, other towns are doing it, other towns are different. Killington is not Plymouth, Woodstock is certainly not Plymouth. I wanted to ask Frank if he was here. I wanted to know, we talk about businesses. How many of these, of 165 are on the books, are the 112, let's just say 112, are registered as LLCs or rent rooms? How many are just people, second homeowners, renting their houses out? Compliance, I know of 4 places in my neck of town that have been renting their houses that are not members and are not in compliance and will never comply because you're not going to find them because they do it with word of mouth only. And these are people, 2 of them, one's a carpenter, one's a plumber. Okay, they're not rich people trying to have a second home. They work and they want to just have a place to come ski and blah, blah, blah. But, I think we as a town collectively have to decide where we're headed with this before do we give employees the tools to do their job? Sure, without question. But what is the job? What's the end goal of the job? Are we going to, in this climate, are we going to raise taxes? Are we going to be are we going to, people are complaining tax, and then we're going to implement more tax.
No, there's no tax here going on. We're not implementing any new taxes.
Well, I mean, you can call it whatever we want.
They're collecting money for a benefit.
Go ahead.
I wanted to wait till I was recognized. One of the concerns I think we all had when this first came up was that, the fire department, the additional cost of safety. Safety aside, we're now making business decisions. Now, we may have 117 of these possible rentals. Now, we go from whatever it is now to 200 to 300 to 500. At what point do we lose these people? At what point do they say it's not worth me renting any longer? Now, your universe is 117. You're not growing that universe. You're not going to get to 500, ever. You don't have that many possibilities in this town to get to that. So if your universe is 117 and you raise it to 200 and that drops to 50, because people just don't want to spend that much money on doing it, what does that do to us?
Good
I
question.
don't know the answers. I'm just saying, someone should do an optimal mix study to find out at what point do you raise the price and you lose the people that are gonna participate in the program. Because at some point, those are gonna cross, and it's gonna go down, and we're still gonna have a fixed cost for the program, you know, and people and the system that you wanna purchase, and your revenues can drop, simply because we decided to make it 300 instead of 100, or whatever that number is. But I think we need to know that before you do that.
I don't think it's that complicated, really, I don't. And by the way, anti-short-term rental, I'll own that. But at the same time, I've heard from a lot of people in town, and I don't think we are. I think what we need to do, raise enough money. I like the software idea. Raise enough to deal with that, and maybe $200 for an additional bedroom is a little bit much. Maybe 150 gets us a little bit closer. But I just don't see, hey, if you're paying, the amount doesn't matter, but if you're paying $600-700 a year to register your short-term rental, I think the end goal is like 100% compliance or almost, and the safety associated with that. That was the spirit of this ordinance, and I support that.
Yes, first of all, it has to exist because we need to make sure that they adhere to our ordinances, so that it's a safe environment for everybody, so the town is safe, so they operate in a safe environment for people who guests. So this is an existential, so to speak, question for the whole program. So the program has to exist. For us to support this program, we need money. We need money, we need tools to do that. We need people. Okay, so, and this is what we kind of asking, this is what we're asking. So we need the operational tools to do the actual work. Okay, so that's simple. So I'm not looking to raise money for myself, and I'm not looking, so we just need an operational fund there. Should get to that point.
An existential, that's a great word, it's an existential argument that we're having, because, and the argument's long in the tooth, because we've been discussing it for 3 years now, and I'm tired of talking about it. But I agree with both of these guys, because I voted with them to have the ordinance. It is we need it because of what happens in every town where there's short-term rentals. That's not the argument that other people on the floor, including you got two guys and myself, have made. It's where do you want this? Now that it exists, what do you want it to do? And I am fundamentally against being anti-second homeowner, anti, this idea that everyone that is renting a house is doing it, that's not the way it is. And I don't think that we should police it that way. It just turns people off and makes people not want to, invest and go and be a landlord. It's just not necessary. If we were Killington or Woodstock, then it might be a different story, but we're not. And then the number that you just presented, if it's true, 112, that leaves, if we're 64 in compliance, that leaves 38 possible, let's just call it 40 properties that remain. So, of which they're not complying. So, as this gentleman said, the sunk cost of the software, is it worth trying to chase down these 40 properties, even if you found them all? And I just told you, I can tell you about 4 that you're not going to find with the software. Okay, so bring that number down to 35. Okay, even if you get 10 of them to say, oh, you caught me, is it worth 10 grand and then 7 grand a year to have this? Or do we just try and go out and figure out why they're not in compliance and what the point is? Because if they are, as has been alleged, in it for the money, and okay, those people are pretty easy to go figure out who's doing it, because they're not around. They have, they're probably in violation of something. It's all, I think that we got the resources to figure that out. But if it's a different animal, which it's not, because this isn't Killington or Woodstock, then it's kind of apples and oranges here. I think we have to figure out what the end goal is. How bad do we need these 38 properties, and what are we willing to get them, versus maybe figuring out why they're not complying in the first place, and then trying to bring them on board in terms of this being safety, administrative type of thing. Hey guys, this is for your own good, and rather than, we're chasing you down and we're gonna charge you. I don't know. I mean, if I wasn't in compliance anyway, and I heard that you were coming after me with this software, I wouldn't, you know what I mean? I'd be even less inclined to be in compliance, because if you're not paying $100 now, what makes you think they're gonna pay 200? Unless we had this discussion last time, we talked about this too. What are we gonna do to comply? Bring them into compliance. We're not doing anything right now. So, okay, we find them, Johnny's, whatever, place here, that place on the lake that Michelle has chased for the last year, that hasn't paid a single dime. What are we gonna do about that dude? It's rented out right now. It's full of people. I mean, so what do we do? That software program is not gonna get that guy to pay, and that's a big property, and everybody drives by it and knows he's renting it out, and he's going like this every week. So I don't know. I don't have the answers to any of these questions, but.
The problem is, if we have an ordinance, and if we don't enforce it 100%, if we only enforce it 60%, then those 60% are gonna say, hey, the 40% aren't paying, why should I pay? We either have an ordinance and we enforce it 100%, or we don't. I mean, we can't enforce half of it, and half of the residents out there, we've gotta enforce all of it or not.
So the one thing I do know that was explained to me is that this software does make it easier for customers
Yes.
or property owners to sign up.
Yes,
So that is a customer service component
yes.
of this, which
Which is the biggest component, and this is what I wanted. It's not just only compliance kit. It's not just that. So, and you know what, you're right. So some of the people to chase them, it's difficult. So, but it's also for existing, okay? So it's not cumbersome on them, right? So they don't deal with all this paperwork, and but it's all, fillable, it's all online, so they have access, complete access to their files, documents. And actually about ordinances, we may want to simplify a few things there for them as well, but it's probably for another big discussion. So on the ordinances side of it. So basically, it's a tool. It's just a tool to move forward the operation.
I'm all for the tool. I haven't figured out what the answer is to the existential question that you posed, that I posed. I just don't, there's so many, it's been said from here. I think Jay has made the argument that we want to try and make more affordable housing. I don't buy into the idea that if we try and reduce the amount of these short-term rentals, that suddenly all housing, we're going to have a housing deluge. I don't see a family of four making Vermont salary that, if somebody bails out of a short-term rental and puts it on the market for $800,000 and somebody's going to swoop in and buy it. It doesn't, this ordinance doesn't solve that problem and a whole lot of other problems that it's been posed as a solution to.
Well,
so if it's just an ordinance as it started for safety and for keeping people in line, then I think it's probably that's pretty high compliance. 64 out of 112 properties, that's almost three-quarters, we're three-quarters of the way there. So I think it's probably doing a good job. Out of any law, you're never gonna have 100% compliance. There's always gonna be people that are skirting the law somehow. I don't know, I'm done talking about it. I don't think I'll ever talk about it again. Done.
Have we sent notices out to all the property owners that the STR ordinance exists?
Yeah, that's right. Anyone that's doing this knows about it, and they know that they need to be paying something and being in the program, and I don't know.
We need to start enforcing our fine policy that's in the ordinance of $100 a day for people who are non-compliant. We need to get serious about that and just do it, because that'll help a lot.
I agree with you. I would say, I would rather spend the money on the lawyer to do that than go out and say, hey, all right, dude, you got to pay. If you're not paying here, we're going to put a lien against your property. We can do that.
We can do that, and I don't know why we're not doing it.
Can that ordinance go on the ballot for the people to vote on in March?
It did. The town voted on it,
We
ordinance.
voted on the ordinance, but not the expenses and the raising of the fees.
No, we didn't go on a raising of the fees to the town. I don't know if we have to do
so
that or not.
I'm going to be supportive of the software. I want to see this for at least a year. And I was like, I don't even think we even had to have this conversation, right? But we wanted to hear what people had to say. I mean, it's just a basic, management function of the town. And
What's the downside of trying it for a year? At the end of the year, it doesn't seem to be working out, you could always cut bait and run.
True, that's why I asked if it was for 1 year. The other thing is.
So be a $10,000 gamble, right? We could go to Vegas.
Well, it'd be a $4,000 or $5,000 gamble, because you're already making a surplus of $4,000 or $5,000, right?
Try, yeah.
The question is, I guess that this has come up, do we want to just gamble on, the ordinance? We talked about raising the fees to cover it for sure, or do you want to just say hey, let's just see how it rolls? That's the question, I guess.
I mean, the fee thing, if it's what we just talked about last time, if it affects, like we just did with the Bethany Burgess thing, the argument was made, if it affects, it's a financial decision that affects a lot of people in the town, it should be put to a wider vote, as Mike just suggested. So, a fee raise of $100, that's a pretty big jump in fee. I mean, should the people vote for it? Maybe.
Most of the people who are going to be affected aren't even voting for that.
Right, true, that's true.
Perhaps. I mean, I would like to see the statistics of.
I think we're basically going back and forth on a tennis match here. I think the issue is, I agree with Rick, on the law, you put a law in place, you have to enforce the law you put in place. But I think we gotta look at two different things here. One is the law, the other is, the fiduciary responsibility you have to the townspeople. There's a cost for doing these things. And I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. I'm just saying what you want to do and what it's going to cost has to be laid into this whole formula. Now, I don't know what the cost is going to be ultimately. And hopefully, the cost that you take in will, cover whatever revenue you're taking in is covering. But in doing that, we got to be cognizant about the people that are paying that. Because while we got 68 paying citizens here, you may reduce that. And then some of those paying citizens may have to rent out their places because they can't afford them. Because they've been there for 30 years and their taxes were, a couple of $100 and now it's a couple of $1,000. So they're renting this out to subsidize them being able to live there. So I don't know what all those individual situations are, but we're looking at financial versus jurisdiction.
If they're a resident, if they are a resident of town and there's very few of them, there's no fee. I don't believe charged in our ordinance, right?
That would be totally fine, yes. I think it can be addressed, if the person will come and fee, so that it's too much. So though they do make good money, so from all the statistics which we gather and have in place, so on average, they rent in $400 per night, $400 per night. So let's say we're talking about three bedroom, right? 2-bedroom apartment. So this will be $600. So pretty much 2 days and they will be done. So it's not going to break that. But
How do you know that? How do you know
This is what gets me so angry. I can't sit by and no. I don't know. Let's say plowing, okay, a plowing contract, okay, you pay whatever. Let's just say $5,000. If it doesn't snow, the guy gets $5,000. If it snows, he's working his ass off to do it. But how are we to judge that? What if we put a per plow tax out? We got, whatever, stupid numbers, $50 a plow. You got to pay it no matter what it snows because whatever, or, more than, you use your plow more than for residential use, you got to pay $100 every quarter or something. I mean, it's limitless. Beaver pelts. What about beaver? We're protecting the wildlife of Plymouth. Our great, we can charge $100 a beaver skin. I don't know. What about? It's completely limitless. So we can't target. I don't understand why we target this idea that And I'm biased because I'm a professional landlord for a living, 5th generation, okay? Started, my grandfather, great-great-grandfather saved money working as an auto mechanic and money in a coffee can that he bought his first property with. I have that coffee can. So when I speak about properties and whatnot, I do speak with a little bit of bias, but I don't appreciate or understand why there's always this kind of a mentality whereby, you know, oh, it's a home, you know. We can't look at people that make a living off property as, you know, somehow that they're, you know, tarnished in some way. They're making a living just like anybody else is making a living. So to institute, you know, this idea, oh, well, you rented your house for $1,000, you made 800. Okay, well, cool. I mean, why does the town get a piece of that? If the town, if they're in the program and they're paying their fees and they're, you know, they got their Knox box and everything, I don't understand why, you know, if there's a scale, you get penalized for doing good. I just, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. And I don't.
It's like the tax, we want tax, what is that, the room board and new tax, 9%, I think.
Well, there's the 1% here. Are we levying that 1% in this town? Is that the additional 1% we're allowed to levy? We don't? Well, why don't we start there? I mean, it's right in the short-term rental ordinance. The town's allowed to implement a 1% tax. If we're not doing that, there's 1% right off the bat we can't
It
charge.
sounds like Rick are keeping that even more.
I'm just saying, I mean, there's other avenues of
I'm also a landlord.
making money.
I guess 30 years.
Oh, then you know the drill.
It will balance itself to exactly what we will be talking, you know, 200 per.
So I am in support of this software for at least a year, but how do we want to pay for it? Do we want to just roll the dice?
How do we want to pay for it?
Do we want to say, hey, maybe the people that come on board will cover it? Or do we want to just see if we might lose a little money? I don't think we lose a lot.
It's 1 year, right? The contract?
Yes,
$10,000 for 1 year.
yes.
What's the average fee now, Nastasia, that people pay? Is there an average?
Average is from $400 to $500.
$400 to $500.
Yes,
So a 3-bedroom's gonna go to $600 if we raise it to $200
Yeah.
a bedroom.
Yeah.
It seems like it's an easier formula,
yeah,
and I don't think the increase is that much,
yes,
to my take.
yes. Yeah, and it simplified the process a lot, so it just kind of like flat fee and that's it, we're done. So easy for them to, you know, calculate.
I think we have to be careful because if we get serious about enforcement like we've been talking about, we're probably gonna incur some legal expenses.
Yes.
So that increased fee will help pay for those legal expenses.
Yes,
And it gives us that cushion.
Yeah.
So we're not dipping in the general fund.
yes. That's exactly what my thought as well. So we will have a little bit of that, exactly like stash, you know, put aside, so we can operate. All right, so let's say like, get everything in order, you know, in compliance.
Well, that would be the grounds for the criteria, or go ahead.
It seems like you shouldn't increase the fee on the people who are participating to pay the legal fees for the people who aren't participating. It seems like if you have a problem with people who aren't participating,
Oh, do you
maybe
pay
you
for
increase the fines to deal with that as opposed to.
That's the best idea I've heard yet.
Well,
You don't increase the fee on the people that are already in it, you increase the fee on the people that you discover with the software. If you discover them and you hit them with they come into the program at an automatically higher fee. The people that are in it are paying the $100, but anybody that you get on this, of this 40 people, they get to pay the higher fee. What about that?
Can we say the people that aren't our grandfather? Would you go for that? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. At the current rates.
If you maintain compliance for a certain amount of time, your grandfather.
Yeah, why not? Why not? That's a kind of happy medium.
All right. How do we word this?
What's the average length of compliance right now? The program's only, 2 years old?
It's annual renewal.
And so there's two issues here. I think we're talking about amending an ordinance, so we would leave the software component out of it, because that's a management issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, so how do we word this?
Well, according to the ordinance, the select board has the sole authority to change the ordinance.
Okay.
So we can change it right now by motion if we wanted to.
30 days.
but it's just changing the fee, the
Yeah.
ordinance. It's
Yes.
on the application, okay?
And grandfathering current people who are registered.
I would say that if they've already been in the program for at least a year, they can't be like in it for 2 weeks, but if they've been in it for a year, you can,
Compliance.
if you paid your,
Where's compliance?
if you're fully compliant, you've paid your fee, you're up to date, your Knox box is in, all that stuff, then you are grandfathered at the current rate. If you're not, if you're coming in the program after that date, you're paying this increased fee.
I'll second that motion. That's the motion.
All in favor?
I,
Thanks for that, Dave, for that idea. That was,
Is that a motion you made?
Yes.
Did you make that
yeah,
motion?
he made, no, I seconded it, right?
You made it, I seconded it?
Yeah, he seconded it. Yeah, that's a good idea. He should be up here on the
so we just changed the fee on that order, on that vote, okay. Now we talk about software.
Okay.
Yeah, well, the software, I think you get a trial, we should get a trial period. It should at least pay for itself if you're gonna use it. And if it doesn't pay for itself, then it doesn't get
So I'll
renewed.
make a motion, we try it for 1 year.
Second.
Okay.
A motion passed.
So to kind of see how all the fighting works, we got him to get that idea out to the surface.
And 15.
Sometimes that's what you gotta do. You gotta,
Call Dave in,
you
so
gotta bank.
the fresh perspective.
Okay.
What else? All right, any other business?
No, do we have warrants
Yes.
tonight?
Dave, don't you? Get some money?
Check warrants and payroll warrants.
That's my recommendation.
Oh, do we have an executive session?
Oh, yeah.
We do, okay.
So how this language needs to be amended in a new draft of the ordinance then?
Yep. I think you got it.
I think we got it.
Whatever, we got to, I mean, we have to codify it in written English language, right?
You can make it more lawyerly, but as long as it's basically the same, right?
Yeah. You signed those, Keith? Yes, sir.
Did I?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay.
We're just gonna sign warrants, we've got our HR thing.
Are we doing a meeting on the 16th?
We are open, we have bids coming in
Okay.
for that's one thing. We get our special meeting, we get a regular meeting, open bids.
So we plan on the 16th for bids only, and then, I mean, if something came up, there's always something to do, but. And if there's not anything to deal with, we just cancel, is that all right?
Yeah, yeah.